Hey guys, it's Silver Lightsaber, and here to talk about the new big trailer that just hit online. The Man of Steel now has a real trailer to watch and enjoy. Not just a teaser anymore, but a real 2.5 minute trailer. And I'm excited. I love it. I've seen it a few times now, and to be perfectly honest, The Hobbit's coming out this Friday, and while I'm looking forward to that very much and can't wait to see it, pretty much what I've been looking forward to just as much, not more, because it is a trailer, but just as much, is the trailer for Man of Steel that was supposed to be attached to The Hobbit. The fact that it came out a few days early is like being able to open a Christmas present a few days before Christmas. I really feel that way. It feels really awesome to be able to see this thing I've really wanted to see. Anyway, I digress. The trailer itself continues on with the teaser, obviously, as most do, but first off, the music. I don't... Pretty sure it's not Lord of the Rings anymore, but the tone of the music and the sound of the music sounds very Gladiator-esque, especially at the very end, with the song Honor Him, which was another Hans Zimmer song, funny enough, who's doing the score for Man of Steel, if you didn't know, which I can't wait. It's going to be phenomenal music. But the score to the trailer sounds very mythic. Sounds very atmospheric. It really does a great job establishing the just the scope of it. It sounds very open, and yet it builds so slowly, and it makes anything that plays over it just elevate it to a whole new level. And I love that. That's what music is supposed to do. Especially in trailers, because you only have 2 minutes to tell you to sell you on the idea. And the trailer, with the music alone, the audio alone, if I didn't see any of the visuals, I would totally get the idea of what they're doing and what they're going for with the tone and the feel of the story. I love that. Now, what this trailer does, that the teaser kind of expands on with this new trailer that I love, is they're really bringing down Superman. He's no longer on this pedestal of just, I am here for you. I am here to protect you. He's not on this upper plane anymore. He's a living God that walks among us. Now, in a modern world, you cannot, no matter who you are, accept that fact that God, essentially, is walking around you in physical form, can change whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, at the drop of a dime, in this day and age, with these, well, really, anytime, it's just now, especially with modern audiences, you are going to guess, like, what, do I trust this, you know? Is it right for me to accept that this invincible thing that can do whatever this thing wants is going to live in my world? And, you know, okay, a lot of questions asked, no easy answers, but this movie seems to tackle that head on. It's not having Superman be black and white, where he's Clark and is a way to just wiggle his way into society, and then he's Superman and he's, you know, hands on his hips and he's okay, he's our hero. It's like, no, you can't accept that kind of power, that kind of a hero. Now, that's the world that he lives in. That's why we see shots like the army taking him in handcuffs, which is a very powerful image alone. I've seen so many comments just on that poster, which, for one, lets you know that the audience is really interested in the movie, and two, that Superman still means something to a lot of people to be able to ignite that kind of a response. But on the other side of that equation, there's the person who is the God, you know? What kinds of questions are you going to ask if you were Superman, if you were God, if you were Jesus Christ, whatever, take your pick. If you were this living person on Earth is essentially a god. How could you find a place in the world and, have the kind of confidence and the kind of self-assuredness to be able to know what to do, to have that kind of power? Should I even use it? What right do I have to even use this power to change the course of things? Am I getting in the way of some kind of plan, who am I to interfere with someone else's destiny or some fate, or to hold life and death in my hands? Obviously, this Clark and this Superman in this movie feels that way because the people around him, when he's growing up, are telling him, not to learn how to use this power. Don't use it. The world around you doesn't know how to accept it. They pretty much cannot accept it, or at least that's the initial belief. And so the best thing you can do is just to not use that power, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And how do you have a character and a person that defies that concept, that has absolute power, but isn't corrupted by it? This movie is going to address that, and I can't wait to see what kind of Superman we're going to get in the end of it. And that's going to be the whole point of it. We're going to get to see Clark growing up. Hopefully more than just 5 minutes like we've seen in other versions. We're going to get to see him grow up and go through that evolution of how do I use the power, and then when is it right to use the power, and how, and all the other questions that come out of that. And by the end of it, you have the full rounded Superman that everyone knows. And maybe he doesn't trust, but loves the idea that at least he's, together and wants to do the right thing. His heart's in the right place. Very interesting to see. Not really Superman, because I'm way more curious to see the world around Superman and to see that kind of evolution that's going to go on. Maybe the world around him isn't going to change. Maybe it's going to be so freaked out by the fact that there's a Superman in the world. What does that do to our history and to our future? Anyway, I think I've said enough on that concept, but as you can see, that alone is worth making a movie about, and I'm very excited that they're going to focus on that thing. That's a really great concept. We got to see a little bit of Michael Shannon as Zod, who's going to kill it as General Zod. He's going to be fan-freaking-tastic because, one, he's a phenomenal actor, and two, I've heard complaints, and I myself was kind of one of them, that they're not really using, quote, new villains. But to be fair, the only Zod we've seen is the Terrence Stamp version from the old Christopher Reeve films, Richard Donner and Lester. And while that is Zod, that's not all of Zod. That's like saying that the Jack Nicholson Joker was the Joker. Obviously not, Up comes another guy who does a phenomenal job with the character, and, that's not all there is. And that's not all who Zod is. He's not simply, and I say simply because this is who he is, but it's not all that he is. A dictator who's hungry for power, who's doesn't care about who he hurts or his power itself. He really is kind of a mirror to Superman, because he's Kryptonian too, and he can do just about anything Superman can do, but with no empathy to humans because he believes they're beneath him. That's a wonderful, wonderful contrast to Superman, who's trying to figure out how do I relate to these people and where do I fit? And you match it up against a character who has no problems with that because he puts it to the side completely and sees the world as his oyster. That's going to be a great contrast to play against. In fact, I'm predicting some great dialogue scenes between Zod and Superman, like talking about, humans and Earth and protecting people, and what does that mean? And, do you need to do that? And they're going to be great. I can't wait to see them. They're going to be awesome. But again, what I was saying about Zod is that there are other parts to him that there's more to flesh out. He has more of a history on Krypton. Like, there's some versions where he's friends with Jor-El. He was the leader of the Kryptonian army in some versions. So he has a good backstory that hasn't been really tapped into yet. we've just seen the power mad dictator, which is what he becomes. But it'll also be good to see more around him. And I hope the movie does that. I can't wait to see what else they do with Zod. Maybe they'll do Kneel Before Zod, that line, which I know there will be a massive, massive cheer in just about every single theater that movie's played in if that line is included. I don't know if it is. I can't wait to see, but we'll have to see what happens. As far as the other cast, they're great. I had my reservations about some of them, but with the set tone and the way it looks, I mean that literally and figuratively, they look like they fit. Amy Adams, a redheaded Lois Lane, hell, I'll go with it. You know? She looks like she'll fit. She's also a phenomenal actress. The cast is stellar as far as talent and ability to really to sell the characters. So I don't doubt for 1 minute that these characters are really going to live on the screen. But I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. Kevin Costner, Jonathan Kent, picture perfect as Jonathan Kent, especially today. Because when you hear Kevin Costner, one of the first things you think of is Field of Dreams. Who did he play? Pretty much Jonathan Kent. So that's going to be very exciting to see on the screen. What perfect casting. I heard that immediately. I was like, yes, you couldn't have chosen a better actor. Diane Lane, Martha Kent, also wonderful. Can't wait to see it. The one thing I'm excited that the trailer did is that we finally got to see some of the action with a lot of explosions and flying and Superman's cape. My goodness, I could look at that for 20 minutes and not get bored. It looks so great. Probably CG, but it looks great. It looks a lot better than the Superman cape from Smallville. I'll say that. But I don't know what else to say. The action looks like when it picks up, it really picks up. I think you see Superman spitting blood in one part. He gets smashed against a bank vault. Then he gets carried in handcuffs by the U.S. Army. I don't know how much of a big part of the movie that's going to be, but I'd imagine that would be a pretty significant point, if not near the climax. So much to talk about and so much to get excited about from the visuals in the trailer and what it's promising. I think that's all there is to say for now. Leave your comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to them when I can. And I love getting conversations going, so feel free to post your own thoughts, what you'd like to see, what you're afraid of seeing, what could be different. Hopefully, if you're like me, you're hoping for a brand new reboot, fresh start to a new Superman trilogy, since trilogies seem to be the thing nowadays to really tell stories, whether you like that or not. Bottom line is, we're getting a reboot of Superman, and we really need one, because last time we saw him was very lackluster. Won't say any more than that. So, with that said, leave your comments below, and I am Silver Lightsaber, and I will see you later.